Hi, everybody. A half an hour late. Not too bad considering Google time. I'm beginning to think we should just tell you it's at a certain time and you just show up a half an hour late. Just this is what's happening here. Today, I'm here with my co-host Karen Lee,
Hi,
Karen
everybody.
Wave, and I'm here with Stephen Szucs. He is Sustainable Joe's, and we're going to be talking about his adventure living off the grid. And he's done some wonderful videos about all the little things that make our life more sustainable. So I'm going to put him up on the screen. Hold on, Stephen. The powers of Google. There you are, up there.
Hi,
Okay.
everybody.
It's freezing a little bit, I think. I think Google's freezing a little bit with you. Tell us a little bit about what is Sustainable Joe's about.
Well, the mission of Joe's is to catalyze change, ultimately creating a sustainable now. A sustainable now is a term I came up with after my first company's mission statement, which was a solar company, was to support the development of a sustainable global future. However, the issue with the future is none of us really know what that's ultimately going to look like, right? It's very abstract, and I can give you abstract concepts, um, but I'm far from somebody who knows what the future looks like. Therefore, it's my belief if we all start, vetting and filtering our decisions through the lens of a sustainable now, right from at the grocery store, like what product was produced in a more like with less externalities, right? Right from like produce, anything, um, then it can move humanity in that direction.
See, I find it, it's surprising because both Karen and I have been in this space over, a decade collectively. And it's almost like you're talking about the same things we've been talking about for 5 years. So do you find that we're still not there yet and we have to keep talking again and again and again about those 101 sustainability ideas?
Well, I think that would depend on your audience, right? If I go talk to children, like I'm going to go talk to some kids at a local school in a couple months, it would all depend on what they know and what is going to engage them too, right? Because something that I might find appealing will be different for you and for you, Karen.
So tell us about the videos that you're doing, because that's kind of like your platform is mostly a video type talk show.
Absolutely, yeah. So the idea is to engage, entertain, and then educate, right? Dependent upon like how somebody ultimately is going, like how you can ultimately engage any one person. So yeah, the journey will be chronicled via the YouTube channel Sustainable Joes, and we'll see where it ultimately takes the project.
So take us from episode one, to like I think what you are
That was
episode
a
10.
long time ago.
It's a long time ago, but take us where you were at that stage, and then where you are now.
You know what? Me personally, more or less the same.
No, no, Sustainable Joe's, the
Oh,
platform. Like where did you
yeah, no,
start in episode one, and walk us through a couple of the episodes a little bit about, how what yours
I
it's
feel like
it's
I need to pull up episode one to tell you exactly what happened in it. It was like
Well, it's
20
kind of
weeks
like
ago,
because
right?
it's kind of like a progression, right? Aren't you trying to do like a
Absolutely.
progression? So when you started with episode one, you had to be at a certain point, and then now you're at episode 20, I think, right, or something like that.
Yeah, like episode 20 will be next week. And it's really been a very much an organic development. From episode one is obviously okay. We're gonna live off the grid, off the electrical grid for an entire summer, and I'm really fortunate to have found a roommate who was willing to do that with me. Also, yeah, no, like you can't just a couple things, a couple key things happened right in the beginning of Joe's. One, my sister got really sick out in California, and that just kind of was a little bit of a push to do this project because it's something I've always been passionate about the environment. I remember when you're in like third grade or fourth grade and like people come in and talk and they're telling you about rainforest deforestation, right? And it's like buy your acre of the rainforest. And I remember seeing like pictures of like just a clear cut forest and thinking to myself, like, just feeling gutted, like this. There is something like, why are we not stewarding our biodiversity and everything that we have in our natural world for generations to come? So after my sister got sick, one of my best friends was dating one of my other best friends. They're now engaged, and they wanted to move in together, which is really cool. But that kind of left me in this space of, okay, well, Now, what's next? And fortunately, I was talking to a buddy of mine who works for Goal Zero Canada, and we talked about me potentially traveling around Canada, again, highlighting renewables, in this case solar. But I was like, really, is that going to do what I want to accomplish? And that being, how can the everyday person, where does the everyday person live? In an urban center. So how can the everyday person move in the direction of a sustainable now?
So
And
tell us some of the episodes that you've done. Give us a little background so they know kind of this little progression that you're
everything
doing.
from, okay, well, obviously we eliminated stove, refrigeration. So we had to figure out other ways to cook. We kept all the garbage in-house. Actually, all the garbage, it's still in the house, which is next to nothing, quite frankly. It's amazing how when you put a concerted effort towards not creating garbage, you can create very little garbage. I organized a tour for, I think like 8 of us ultimately went to our local MRF, which is Material Recovery Facility. That is where they sort out all of the recycling for London, Ontario, and the 6 neighboring communities. That was a really educating day. What else? A little hobbyist guy who makes his own ethanol. We went out because he's really intrigued about how he can, how we can cook differently. And obviously, heating and cooling are huge drains on any power system.
Right.
So did your eating habits change?
Absolutely. Yes, yeah, they did, but not enormously. Like, I miss cooking, quite frankly. I love to cook. But we did an episode on Jane. She came over and we looked. I'm just turning on my power system, guys, because my computer, I don't know if you heard the little... She came over and we looked at how much energy different household appliances use. And one thing I really miss is tea. Being able to make like a tea or coffee in the morning, because like to heat water takes a crazy amount of energy. I also got a...
But you live in Canada, so it's pretty cold up there, isn't it?
Yes.
So how are you keeping yourself warm? Forget tea. How are you keeping your body warm?
Right?
Okay.
During the summer, it wasn't... whether you want to have air conditioning as well, right? The climate in all reality is not too different than, right in the, greater New York area. One thing, moving into the winter, we have a program up here, it's called Bullfrog Power. So if you get Bullfrog gas, which we live in a house that's, has 3 different units. So there's an upstairs unit, the main unit, which Dave and I rent out, and then there's a basement unit. But it's all forced air for the entire house. So we're going to supplement that with, they extract the gas from a landfill in Quebec. And so anybody who pays for this gas, like that's the gas that goes into the grid, as opposed to getting natural gas from a more traditional means.
It's very cool. It's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
I also noticed in one of your episodes you were cooking with a solar cooker. Like somebody
Yeah,
was demonstrating. Yeah, it was demonstrating the solar. How was that?
Oh, it was fine. As long as you have enough sunlight, it works. The issue is like you need sunlight and you need time.
So how much more time did it take?
If it's sunny, not that much longer. Right? There's a couple different ways to experiment too, right? Like if you reflect it off of a mirror to the bottom of like a cast iron pan, it'll heat up the entire pan, as opposed to what we found was when you put in the 12 eggs for a 12-egg omelet, it actually reflects a lot of the light due to its just natural color being lighter as opposed to black, right? But you could get the pan up to, I think, 175 in one of the episodes, Fahrenheit.
Wow.
Or Celsius, maybe. It was hot.
That's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
you had something really exciting that you aired on your not your last episode, in one of your blogs about Price Waterhouse. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so basically after the second time Joe's was featured on national television, it was actually after the first time, that was when I started talking to the head of corporate responsibility for PricewaterhouseCoopers Canada. And this past Thursday, I convened a roundtable at their Gold Certified LEED building in Toronto called a Dialogue for Difference Makers. The idea being to identify how we can unify corporate responsibility, social responsibility, and personal responsibility, and sustainability, right?
And how was that? I mean, what kind of dialogue came out of that? What did you see from the people that attended?
Different stuff. I had the managing editor of treehugger.com, so Lloyd Alter was there. Well, now what Lloyd brought to the table was different than I had a gentleman by the name of Neil Burkhardt, who's the head education specialist in waste management for the city of Edmonton. He WebExed in. I had the sustainability coordinator for the University of Western Ontario, and then there was also a student from York University. So everybody kind of had their own little bit to offer.
And how was the audience? Like, what was their reaction? Was it simply a panel, you guys discussing, or was it a roundtable discussion?
See, and that was the really interesting part. So they PwC had invited a lot of their potential student candidates, or excuse me, people who are students right now, but potential employees to watch the WebEx, as well as some actual employees. So we asked for pledges that everybody could participate in to obviously maintain engagement and what Joe's wants, which is to actually implement sustainable change. So we had people pledge, and this was really cool because we got a positive response for like LED lights. Like I've outfitted the house with 3-watt LEDs. So as opposed to a 45-watt incandescent, it provides the same amount of illumination, just uses 1/15th of the electricity, right? So one of the pledges that we asked was, well, when I'm not saying you throw out all of your incandescents right now or throw out all of your compact fluorescents, but as they burn out, replace them with an LED. So a lot of people were on board for that. Little simple things like eat local, fully local, once a week. Like, so that like where your potatoes came from, where your bread came from, where your protein in whatever form came from. Like the average item that arrives on our plate has traveled over 1,500 miles to get there, right? That's nutty. I think of all the externalities, whether it be in their processing or actual transportation. It's crazy. So I'm learning how to like pickle things. Next year I plan to do a lot of pickling and preserving, right? To try to.
We're both picklers and canners.
Actually, you should see Karen's pickle recipe. She actually gave it to me for my birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I give her. Usually girls get jewelry. I gave her a jar of pickles.
I loved it. So if you want a great pickling recipe, it is so different than I've ever had because Karen uses bay leaves, and I was just like, oh my God, this is like amazing. I feel like a Valley girl. Oh my God, this is just amazing. So
I have to tell you, I mean, talk about food and sustainability. It's a huge, huge black hole because we can't live without food, right? And you talked about cooking and how much heating and all that. And the reason I asked you about did your eating habits change is because I grew up in Korea. When I grew up back in
what is it? 안녕하세요?
There you go.
Yeah.
It's great. He speaks my language.
No, I know how to say hi. That's about it.
Okay.
And I think "Gasamnida" is thank you, right?
Two phrases more than you, Anna. And you
wow.
With me how many
I am now going to be replaced.
I like being able to connect with people, ladies. That's about it. And saying hi and thank you.
It's no longer going to be sisterhood. It's going to be it's going to be sisterhood, brotherhood now. I don't know.
There you go. But
well, and let me mention, and Karen, I do want to hear what you have to say about the growing up in Korea, but with regards to the reason it's Sustainable Joe's is, as opposed to sustainable, like whether it was like JOE or JO, there was a lot of thought put into this, right? Because again, whether you're a Joanne or a Joseph, you spell Joe's the same way, period.
That's true. I get it now. See, he could be a sister. He is half sister.
No, you ladies could be Sustainable Joe's as well. That's what I'm saying. And I can be a part of the green sisterhood.
Well, we say we have brothers. We fully embrace our brothers.
But the reason I mentioned food is because when I was growing up, we didn't have those fancy gas stoves or electric stoves to cook. We literally use either wood or actually coal. They make it in certain sizes that last much longer and yada yada yada. But in the wintertime, you have to preserve your food to last throughout the winter. So one of the things that we used to do, literally, this is no joke, we used to bury our fermented cabbage called kimchi in the ground because the temperature in the ground is in some sense some areas are warmer than outside because cold it can get
once you get
really
past
cold.
the frost line.
Right. So we would bury in this huge vat of ceramic vat, and we would make the kimchi for the summer, and we would bury that, and we would use that as almost like refrigeration system. And you don't cook the same kind of food in the winter to conserve energy, but you also eat different foods in the summer because you want to avoid refrigeration. So I'm curious, like you do canning to preserve and make your food last. And you probably won't have like roasted beef. Like roasted meat and a lot of roasting kind of foods because you want to conserve energy, correct? Because, right?
Yeah, like going into the winter, quite frankly, like I signed us up for Bullfrog Power the other day. That's because with Dave in school, he just needs an abundance. Like he needs more energy, right? And to have it like all the time, especially going into winter where the days are shorter, like the panels don't even get any sunlight on this postage stamp of a lot where the house is until, quite frankly, like 12:30, 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
so,
and only for a couple of hours, I would assume. A few hours, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a limitation into the amount of actual energy that can be captured.
It's just when I was an editor for another website, we received an article from a family who live off grid, so to speak, and there were some comments about how really living off grid is really not really living off the grid because you still need some supplementation to your energy. So you're saying that you have this gas from Quebec, but it's not really the natural gas.
Yeah, it's just a different type, and that's how we'll pay to heat our house. Now, granted, like any new industry, right? Like that company needs money. This is why there's a premium, so that they can put more money into R&D or build new systems that ultimately can get the price down and increase the accessibility to the average person. And what is accessible for me will be different than both of you ladies, which will be different than the person who lives across the street from me, right? But if we all do our part, and I'm sure this is something that you have been saying for years, but it's my belief as well that if we all do our part, we can move the world in a more sustainable direction. And it's just day by day and choice by choice, right?
I think it's easier now, too, because I think a lot of the utility companies have wind power source that you could use instead of, right? So, yeah, there's no excuse. Basically, it's much easier to do.
I would agree with that, too. But again, some people it might not be in their budget, but I'm not one to draw the line, but who am I? I will say that I certainly do encourage people to get things that are within reach, right? Because then you are voting with your dollars, economic democracy.
Sure.
So what did you find in your travels so far that has shocked you, like really changed a behavior that you had?
Well, I've yet to travel in all reality, but I'm hoping that comes up in the spring.
But I mean, in your life, but like your lifestyle change, like since you started to do this, what startling,
Well, I grew up on a farm, lady. So for me, it was I always was raised to I'm cutting up the entire broccoli and putting it in a soup, as opposed to just using the broccoli crown. So my namama, I'm half Hungarian, half Italian, and my namama tells me stories of that's why that's the last name. I might look very Italian, but I'm half Hungarian as well, and that's that last name.
Well, Szucs is not exactly Italian, so I figured.
No, precisely.
Yeah.
But my namama tells me stories of when she was younger that her parents, would bathe her and her brother, my great uncle, in like a wash basin, and like my namama would be bathed first because she was the youngest, and then her brother, and then my great grandmother, and then my great grandfather. But it's a different way of thinking, right? So it's like, how can we use resource completely, and instead of having this birth and throwaway culture, we have that a little more, as Thomas L. Friedman writes in Hot, Flat, and Crowded, like a cradle-to-cradle mentality. So as far as me, to answer your question fully, it's been more of the information and how do you like relay that to more people, right? Obviously, I'd never experimented with a Fresnel lens, but is a Fresnel lens a solution for all of us? Probably not. Because you have to have a lot of access to sunlight. But I have looked at a couple different solar heaters for different types of cooking. I love the information. Like I did an experiment on like low flow shower heads. I had no idea. Like, do you know what the average flow rate is for a shower head?
I don't know the number.
Is it 1.6? Yeah. Is it 1.6?
Oh, would that be gallons? I only know liters, but it's,
yeah.
That's pretty close because I believe it's 3.74 or 3.67 liters per gallon.
1.6 is
it's 6 liters for a low flow, and then
low flow's a lot. Low flow's a lot less.
Mm-hmm. Well, but it was amazing because I never really thought about that, right? When I moved into this place, the house I live in, it's just like, oh, okay, I'm going to use a shower head that's in the bathroom. But it's not a low flow shower head. And that's like a simple solution that all of a sudden I'm using 40% less water.
Right.
Which, like, why don't we all do that? That's something that literally is so simple. And if we all did it, it would make a big difference.
So and same thing with toilet flushes, right? And you wonder why they didn't manufacture these from get-go. Like, why didn't they, why are they leaving it up to the consumers to discover so many decades later? Why didn't they do this in the beginning, right?
I remember seeing this little meme that it's this little African boy, and he's got this like perplexed look on his face, and he's like, "What do you mean you poop into perfectly clean water?" but seriously, right? Like, why? Like, it's.
Well, they actually have. I don't know if you've seen a no-mix toilet. Have you ever seen one of those?
Are you talking about like a composting toilet?
No, it's like you urinate in the first half and you do number 2 in the second half, and the number 2 in the second half becomes methane gas. Like they use it, they haul it away, and they use it to make methane gas.
Now, do they put anything on the number 2?
I don't know. I think it goes into a holding tank, almost like a boat, like a and then they dispose of it, and they haul it away and make it into, or they make it into methane gas. And the number 1 they use, I think, for fertilizer.
Very cool.
It's the cheapest. Yeah. It's the cheapest fertilizer there is. It's urine.
I have there's a couple also in southwestern Ontario that in a couple of the videos I've featured, who are building a house out of a shipping container.
That's very cool. Yeah,
it'll be 2 shipping containers, in fact. It'll be 800 square feet when it's done. I actually just stopped in on my way back from PricewaterhouseCoopers on last Thursday, and I helped them the day that the shipping containers were being joined. It's kind of like this, so they're offset, and the great room is like, I'm going to show that in this week's episode, in fact. It's like 17 feet by like 16 feet. So it actually feels like a home. But when it gets like 1 inch of rainwater on the roof, which will be a rainwater collecting green roof, it's going to collect 2,000 liters of water, which is enough for 2 people to live for a month on conservatively.
How are they weatherproofing that roof? I'm just curious.
They have a layer of spray foam insulation. It's actually on the outside, and then they've built it in. So then it's, what is the...
It's probably it's called a TPO, which
that's
is like,
exactly. I was going to say TSP, TP, yeah. So
it's
they
like
have
some sort of rubberized, because it has to make sure it doesn't get through.
Precisely. So they've built an addition on top of the shipping containers, maybe 18 inches, and then there's insulation all inside of that. So the inside of the shipping container, they've lined it with barn board on the walls. And spray foam insulation behind that with just little studs that are aluminum, I believe, or steel. And then the roof, they actually left the rustic shipping container look, which so you kind of have the feel once you're inside. It looks really cool.
I bet you Lloyd would love to see that, because that's something right down his alley.
Absolutely, right? Again, a reutilization of materials, and people can be creative when we choose to be, right?
Right, absolutely. It's funny because when you think of 800 square feet, you don't think it's very big, but I think my first apartment in New York was less than 500 square feet.
Yeah, right, same with my mother's.
Yeah, so it's like you're thinking like,
I wish I lived in an 800 square feet space. Less space to clean, right?
Right. So you think like, oh my God, it's so small, but I'm thinking
No.
like, no, it really wasn't.
Yeah, no, like I was amazed at how spacious it was. Quite frankly, it's going to be beautiful,
I
and it'll
bet.
be
Cool.
really exciting to show people. Not to mention, it'll be completely mobile, right?
Yep.
Like, I don't know what their ultimate cost of manufacturing will be, but it will be a very livable space. And then next year they're going to have an addition onto it that will have a greenhouse that will use heat from the inside as well. Obviously, southern exposure. And they're going to be able to grow fresh produce in Canada all throughout the year.
That's very cool. I want one of those. I want a greenhouse.
Yeah.
But you know,
Well, and
it's
you can be like, you can hella drop it in too. Like there are people who've built these and sent them over to Costa Rica and womp, wherever you want it, like right on the coast, done.
You know, it's funny because you talk about this modular type of living, and that's actually
Hmm.
what's been shown in this Solar Decathlon is that a lot of the modular homes, where it's like you have three kids, and then when they leave, then you get rid of a pod, or you know, you just like and you just
Yeah.
downscale instead of having to move into another house. You just say, okay, you take the pod, I don't need the pod, you know, that type of thing, which is really great. So
Yeah,
tell
and there's some
us,
really funky designs.
yes, tell us what's coming up on Sustainable Joe's. Like where do you want this to go?
Well, I mean,
What's your
ultimately,
goal?
I want a sustainable now for humanity and Mother Nature, right? Like everybody, there's an old George Carlin skit that's one of my favorites, and he's like, I don't understand people who are like, as I put on my George Carlin voice, right? But anyways, save the trees, save the whales, save the earth, la la la.
I love
Like,
that skit. I
yeah,
love that
it's the
skit. My
arrogance
son
of
gave it
humanity,
to me
right?
to
You want to
watch, and I'm
save
like, oh my
something,
god.
like we're the
Yeah.
problem.
I don't know that one. Can you guys
Oh,
just fill me in? Because I'm thinking, well,
go
like,
ahead.
now I'm gonna
Go
go
ahead,
Google.
Steve. Yeah,
I'm
go
gonna go
ahead,
Google
Steve.
this.
I
Well, the
let you
long
talk.
story short, it's yeah, it's only like a 6 minute clip. You can find it. I believe it's called "The Arrogance of Humanity." But it's like he's like, I don't understand people who are like, save the whale, save the earth, save the trees. He's like, you want to save something? We're the problem. You know, with or without it, like the planet's been here for 4.5 billion years, and it will be here. You
Right.
know, for
And it doesn't need our
another.
help.
But
Right.
will it be here with us, or will it
Right.
be a habitable space for humans? That's a whole other story.
Right.
So,
Question.
I mean, what do I want, and what do I want for Sustainable Joe's? That's to move the world in the direction of ultimately actually having a sustainable now. Like I would love when I die to just if we can get people choosing and vetting their decisions through a different lens or a different filter, I think we'll be on our way. So I hope to, in the spring, fingers crossed, if I can find some funding, travel around North America for starters, and then ultimately world highlighting difference makers. So
That's
that can
great.
be like ladies like you, quite frankly, or like a
High
company
five.
like the Diva
High
Company.
five.
Yeah, there we go. Virtual high five.
There you go.
It's
So
very cool.
throughout,
It's very cool how how they've been with your show taking off the way it is. Tell us again what your YouTube channel is and your website.
everything is Sustainable Joe's. So from YouTube, Sustainable Joe's, Twitter, Sustainable Joe's, Facebook, facebook.com/Sustainable Joe's, Instagram, Sustainable Joe's, and then I also I have sustainablejoes.com, .net, .ca. I'm building a new .com. Well, I bought them all, right? And .org.
Aren't you supposed to do that?
Yeah, that's what they say, and it's not that's like the one thing that's decently cost effective. Actually, just purchasing the domains.
At least it doesn't take up any space in your house.
Yeah, this is true.
It's up in the cloud, so you don't have
So
to worry about it.
They're all going to sustainablejoes.ca right now.
Okay.
But I'm going to be that, so then I can work on .com behind the scenes and very
Well,
soon I hope to have that up.
we hope to see you on TV down here in this
Hey,
part of
thanks,
North
ladies.
America, and carry a message and that. We have some Canadians in our Korean sisterhood, so
Yes, we do.
Nice.
yeah, we have.
Well, let me know where they are, and I'll go meet them. Like we'll do
Sure.
a
Well,
new
one of
dynamic.
them's in Quebec. That's
Very
Stephanie.
cool.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, I have met Stephanie. Stephanie Mormon, right? Or not like
Yes.
Moran?
Moran,
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Good
And
girl,
then
gone
there's
green.
And then there's Jen and Joey Go Green. So she actually has
Yeah, they're in
a
like Guelph, right? Or Kitchener-Waterloo?
I have no idea exactly the name of the town, but she's she's I think on the East Coast.
And then where's
Right.
Amber?
Oh, she's in Vancouver. Oh, we have Amber too on the West Coast.
AmberStorsel.com.
Right.
It's on the West Coast. Another one of
Yeah.
our Canadians. Do you have any
Yeah.
more Canadians?
I think for now, I think that's it.
Stephen?
Three.
Oh, well, yes,
And Sustainable
Stephen.
Joe's?
Sustainable Joe's.
There you go.
A brother.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's
You
cool.
introduce your first brother sometime.
Yeah, no, we had a lot of brothers on
We
our
do have
show.
we do have a lot of brothers on our show.
Sure, yeah. We don't
Nice.
discriminate.
And
Hey,
actually, why am I
oh
blanking?
wait,
Our
Eric.
car guy, Eric.
Yeah, Eric is
Eric.
I think he's from Toronto, isn't he?
Yes, Toronto. He's
Yeah.
great. He's Enviro Dad.
You know
Okay.
Dad? Eric Novak?
And what exactly does that mean?
Just what you
What do you
do.
mean?
Same thing.
Yeah, he's more into like green tech. Green
Yeah.
tech,
Okay.
green cars. He does
Because-
all the. He knows. You have a question about a car. He knows it all. He
Right.
came
It's
on.
cool. I was on the phone with Porsche London today, and they're Porsche's coming out with
They're-
all electric car.
Should we tell him
they're-
about the other brother that's driving the car?
Yeah.
Saf?
He's going down to I think Atlanta. He said that he was going to test drive. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny. The two dudes, green dudes.
I
that
get to
we
drive
had-
it the first week of December too.
Oh man,
Oh,
why don't the girls get to drive? I don't
know.
understand
Ask,
it.
ladies. All I do is ask. I swear to you. Like I just.
Okay, Karen,
ask.
we're road tripping.
Yeah, come for a cruise. Get up here to Canada.
We go to Detroit, of all places. We go to Detroit to drive cars, and then these guys are like, driving.
Yes,
these
Seth's
things.
gonna drive on the track in Atlanta.
Oh, now that'll be fun. I don't think I just think I get to drive this one
he's
on the
green.
road.
Shout out to Seth, our Green Living guy, and he's gonna drive on the track. And my husband said to me, "There's no way they would ever let you be on the track. That would just be a shame." And I'm like, and I said, "But I would,
Thanks.
I could drive behind,
Well, you never know until you ask.
This
so
is true. We
true.
could drive the Tesla if we.
Well,
wanted
see, and that's the other thing. I did a feature on the
Tesla.
Tesla 2 weeks ago. That video has like over 600 views. That's pretty cool. A buddy
you
of mine,
tested?
Andy. Well, no, a good friend of mine, Andy, was able to get his hands on it down in
Cool.
South Florida. So he walked us through it and everything from the fob to its acceleration in 4.2 seconds, 0 to 60, right? For an electric car, it's the safest car that's ever been built. But
Right.
ultimately, I like what one of the things Lloyd had said in the roundtable. He's like, actually in the one-on-one interview that I posted 2 days ago with Lloyd Alton, managing director of Tree Hugger, that he quoted some author as saying, we need 19th century or 19th century technology to get around with 21st century technology to communicate. Because it's our transportation that really is putting us in a precarious situation presently. That being that 93% of Americans get to work every day via a car.
It is a big problem. That is
Right.
the biggest energy,
Mhm.
energy
Absolutely.
sucking habit.
We could
that
also
we
call
have.
it an enormous opportunity, right? And that was another pledge that I had asked people to do in the Dialogue for Difference Makers. Okay, can you carpool once a week? Once a week. Let's just start with once a week. Or at least, you know what? You go pick up a friend this one day, and she or he picks you up the next day, and you swap who's responsible to bring coffee that morning.
I have to tell you, I was in a plug-in challenge with Toyota
Okay.
over the summer, and yes, I won 999 miles per gallon. I didn't use a drop of oil.
Amazing.
And-
Now, what was the challenge, if I may? Sorry.
It was a challenge of who gets the most miles per gallon.
Okay.
And it was just it was a hybrid, it was a plug-in, and there were, how many, 6 or 7 of us, and we did a challenge, and the winner actually gets to donate the winning prize of $2,500 to a charity organization.
Nice.
So
Congratulations for winning, by the way.
thank you, and I got my son to get involved. That was my kids getting involved. That was the fun part, because they need to learn, so he got to drive, and he really wanted to get the most mileage, and it was all an educational, fun, and good. But I have to tell you, when you want to buy a red car, all you see on the road are red cars.
Okay.
All I see now are hybrids and plug-ins on the road, and it's great. And you talk
It's
about
exciting.
you talk about 19th century and 21st century technology trying to work together and merge. Well, I think we're getting it. I think a lot of people are grasping that reality that we really need to get better at fossil fuel. So
I would probably argue that the majority of you're going to have your trendsetters in every industry, right? People who just want to be on the cutting edge of whatever it is.
on the latest, right? Latest
Yeah.
and everything. Yeah.
I'm a pretty firm believer in the fact that people do things for one of two reasons. They want to or they have to. So I'm sure some people, it's hurting their pocketbooks a little bit, and they're like, well, why not? Like Andy quotes in the Joe's video where we featured the Tesla, that it costs $4 on average to get a full tank, right? So like a full charge, 300 miles worth of transportation for $4. It doesn't take too long in all reality to add up $60 or $70 gas tanks out.
It's just that you have an initial sticker shock.
Yeah,
Exactly, right?
Eric brought that up in when we did the green car interview. He brought that up too, as to like maintenance and all these things. And these things add up, and people, I call them like phantom charges.
Mm-hmm.
People don't add them up until later. Say, well, wait a second, maybe the scale really tips.
And your oil change and everything.
Yep. But I want to thank you for coming on. We really enjoyed talking to you and really enjoying what you're doing. It's very cool, Sustainable Joe's. I love that whole, average Joe type of, mantra that you're using. And we're going to be watching you closely.
That's right.
To see what you're going to be doing next.
Appreciate your kind words, and thank you for your time, eh?
And we hope that you come to New York.
You're welcome, eh? I love the Canadian 8.
Well, Stephanie does that too. She does.
I know. Yeah, even in written language, eh?
Yay.
Well, I'm going to be in the city the 26th through the 30th, so maybe let's get together for a coffee.
Absolutely. So it's good. Now, next week, we have a very, very special show. We are going to be interviewing Ed Brown. He's with Unacceptable Levels. It's the movie Unacceptable Levels. And it's going to be a really great show. Very important film about toxic chemicals in our environment. And
very cool.
Yeah, so it's going to be fascinating because he has a whole story to tell, a journey as well, and that's what we find really fascinating is the journey. So everybody, we will see you hopefully at 2:00 next East Coast time, next Tuesday at 2:00 East Coast time, and Google permitting. I swear to God, this is going to be our mantra, and we'll see you then. And saying goodbye from Anna. Yeah, I know, Google permitting. So bye, everybody.
Thanks for joining us, Steve.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye.
And thank you, everybody, for watching.